My wife left our newborn daughter with the next-door neighbor and took off to live with her affair partner. That was 15 years ago. Now she is back, and my daughter is the one taking out the trash. I am writing this because I simply cannot wrap my head around the old saying that time is supposed to heal all wounds, or that distance makes the heart grow fonder. People tell me that refusing to reconnect after so many years makes me bitter or cruel. I do not see it that way, but enough people have offered their unsolicited opinions on the matter that I would like someone to explain it to me, because from where I am standing, it makes zero sense. When people hurt you, that is it. I am not the only one in my family who thinks this way. I am 44 years old now. I have some gray hairs that supposedly make me look distinguished, or at least mature. Whether I actually am mature is not for me to say. But 15 years ago, I was a brand new father and a husband who thought his life was finally coming together. Sarah and I married young. Not recklessly young, but young enough that we grew into adulthood together. We dated for several years, tied the knot in our mid-20s, and talked about having kids right from the start. Lily, our daughter, was not an accident. She was planned. We talked about baby names, school districts, safe neighborhoods, and dreading the day she would be old enough to have a boyfriend. I am joking, but I like to kid myself that I am a tough dad, when in reality, I am just a proud father. We used to argue over paint swatches for the nursery. From my perspective, our marriage was solid because we both wanted the same things. Our only real disputes were about colors like sage green versus seafoam. We worked hard, paid our bills, and had a pretty standard American marriage. There were no screaming matches, no irreconcilable differences that I was aware of, no threats of divorce. If there were cracks in the foundation, I did not see them. When Lily was born, everything tightened up. Anyone who has been through the newborn phase knows that the first stretch is brutal. There is no sleep, there is no routine. It is like living underwater. That is how you feel all the time. Sarah was exhausted, and I was not doing much better, but I tried to hold down the fort. I went back to work quickly because we needed the income to cover the mortgage and the hospital bills. When I got home, I took the night shift so she could get some sleep. It was a time when romance took a back seat, but marriages have to enter that survival mode when you bring a baby home. I saw it as temporary. I thought that when our baby got a little older, we would find a new normal as a family of 3. Lily was only a few weeks old when Sarah left. We did not even have a conversation about it. There was no argument that pushed her out the door. She just left. She waited until I was at the office, packed a bag, and left a note on the kitchen counter. Was it considerate? No. It has been a long time, so I might be paraphrasing, but the note essentially said she had found herself again. She was leaving to be with someone who made her feel alive. She wrote that Lily would be better off without her because she was not cut out to be a mother, something the past few weeks had apparently proven to her. She did not want custody. She did not make a transition plan. Nothing. She did not even say goodbye to her daughter. At least she did not leave the baby alone in the house. She dropped her off with our neighbor, Mrs. Gable, who used to watch Lily for a few minutes if Sarah needed to run to the store. She timed it right before I was scheduled to clock out, so the neighbor would not get suspicious and call me at work. I came home to an empty house, walked next door to pick up my child, and suddenly realized I was holding a newborn who needed to be fed, and her mother was gone. I do not know how to explain the weeks that followed, but the word chaos does a pretty good job. I am not saying this for pity, it is just a fact. I did not know how to do half the things a primary parent needs to do, especially the feeding schedule, because Sarah had handled that. I learned fast because I had no choice. I took unpaid leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act, sent a distress signal to my parents, and tried to figure out how to solve this problem. I went back to work too soon because utility bills do not care about your sob story, and they certainly do not care that you have not mastered warming a baby bottle yet. Eventually, I figured it out, but it took more time than it should have. Sarah moved in with the guy she left us for. Let's call him Brad. I found this out through third parties. She never told me directly. At first, I assumed she would come back, or at least ask to see Lily. She did not do it a single time, not once. She never called, she never sent a birthday gift, no text messages, no financial support, unless you count a handful of inconsistent transfers that stopped completely after the first year. I filed for divorce unilaterally because I had to. I could not stay married to a woman who abandoned her child. There was also the infidelity issue, but mostly, I needed to establish legal boundaries. If my daughter had a medical emergency, I needed to be the sole decision-maker. Sarah did not contest custody. She did not fight for visitation rights. She signed the papers and vanished. So, I raised Lily alone. It was not all bad. Even though every kid wants a mom and a dad, we made it work. I read to her before bed, which usually meant I fell asleep first, and she would take off my glasses and turn out the light. When Lily asked where her mom was, I told her the truth. I never tried to hide anything. I also assured her that none of it was her fault. I never told her to hate her mother, because I did not have to. Absence and a total lack of interest are enough to breed resentment on their own. As Lily grew up, she noticed patterns. She saw other moms at school plays and soccer games. I would have loved to be there for the mom and me events at school, but I compensated with daddy and daughter days. Lily formed her own opinions. Mainly, she decided that she did not have a mother, and that having a dad was enough. I do not know if she meant it or if she was just saying it to make me feel better, but there it was. We were fine. More than fine. Lily grew into a thoughtful, reserved, and funny teenager who does not waste words. Then, a few months ago, Sarah got in touch via text message. It was a long paragraph, especially for someone with my sleep schedule. She talked about growing up and reflecting on her role as a mother. She said she had done a lot of inner work and believed she was ready to reconnect with her daughter because she missed her. She said life was short and she did not want to die with regrets. She used phrases like, before it is too late. It all sounded very profound, but in reality, it meant nothing. The 15 years that had passed did not seem to register for her. She wanted to reconnect with Lily and me as a family, in whatever way we would accept. I did not want to make the decision for my daughter, so I spoke to Lily first. I showed her the message so she could read it herself. I told her the choice was hers. If she wanted to see her mother, I would make it happen. Lily read it, thought for a moment, and said she was not interested. She said she did not know this woman and had no interest in getting to know her now. So, I replied to Sarah. I told her Lily was not interested in contact, and that I was not interested in anything she was selling. I told her we were doing just fine, and we were not going to mess things up just to make her feel better about herself. That is when things escalated. Sarah accused me of poisoning Lily against her. She said seeing her mother was too big a decision for a child to make. I replied that she was about 10 years too late to meet a child. I also told her that sure, maybe my grudge was talking. But Lily has a mind of her own. My daughter had spoken, and she did not want to meet the woman she came from. I do not blame her. I would do the same thing. That is why I am not going to force her or convince her to do it. But this is where the opinions of other people come in, and I really do not understand them. Some extended family members think that not seeing her mother could cause psychological damage to Lily. Yet, oddly enough, they do not seem to think that 15 years of absence caused any damage. Some mutual friends got in touch just to tell me more of the same. They said maybe I am being vindictive, so I am asking, why does anyone want to defend a mother who abandoned a daughter for 15 years? It makes no sense to me. Sarah is like a child who got bored with a toy, left it in the corner, and years later wants to play with it again. Except the toy is a human being. I am lost here. It is hard for me to believe that there are people who think this is okay. Every person who tells me I am wrong for respecting my daughter's wishes makes me lose a little more faith in humanity. Update number 1. Sarah's 15 years of reflection and self-discovery went straight into the trash with a message I received shortly after my first post. It was no longer all love and peace. She was accusing me, and she felt incredibly entitled. She said it was convenient that Lily felt this way after being raised exclusively by me. Whose fault is that? She said no child would reject their mother without influence unless their mother was a monster. She said I had 15 years to tell my side of the story, and she never had a chance to explain herself. I do not know if there is much to explain to a teenager who knows her mother left her to go live with a boyfriend. I did not respond immediately. I showed the message to Lily because I want to be as transparent as possible. She might be only 15, but she is mature enough to handle this. Her response said it all. This is exactly why I don't want to talk to her. She is exactly the horrible person I imagined she would be. Sarah did not stop there. Over the next 2 weeks, she sent multiple messages. Some were apologies, some were angry rants, and sometimes she managed to fit both into the same paragraph. She oscillated between saying she understood Lily needed time and insisting that I was obligated to force a relationship. She asked to meet Lily just once, claiming that maternal love would take care of the rest. She suggested I take Lily to therapy because obviously, I had done a bad job as a father. She suggested I give her Lily's phone number so she could start texting her directly. When I asked my daughter if she wanted to give her number to Sarah, she looked at me like I was suggesting she give her number to a serial killer. It was that specific look of, Dad? Absolutely not. So, it wasn't me blocking the contact. Lily would not speak to her mother for all the gold in Fort Knox. Since I did not respond, Sarah escalated even further because she was not going to take no for an answer. I received a call from my aunt, someone I had not spoken to in years, because she was one of the few people who, 15 years ago, did not think what Sarah did was that bad. She called me an incel. I do not even know where a woman in her 60s learned that word and said that if Lily was raised alone with a father, she was going to turn out wrong. According to a friend, Sarah was telling people she had been young and scared, that she made a mistake, and that she would regret it for the rest of her life, but she just wanted a chance to fix it. If Lily wanted to meet her mother, I would not be happy about it, but I would support it. But she does not want to. Lily has been checking her social media accounts to make sure her privacy settings are locked down so Sarah cannot contact her. I know this because she asked me for help. I took the time to reply to Sarah one more time. I told her that if she kept insisting or sending other people to harass us, we were going to take action. I told her the police and the family court judge were not going to look kindly on a harassment case involving a minor. I told her the decision was Lily's, and I was not going to intervene, no matter how much she disliked it. Her response was immediate and hostile. She said I was threatening her. She said she had rights. She said Lily was still a minor and I could not legally block contact forever. She said she was prepared to fight if she had to. After that, and with my patience completely exhausted, I consulted a lawyer to clarify everything. The advice was simple. Sarah could petition for a custody modification, but in our state, children over the age of 14 can decide which parent to live with and whether they want to see the other parent. There was not much she could do. There was no way Sarah would win anything in court. It would just be money flushed down the toilet. The moment Lily told a judge she did not want to see her, it would be over. My lawyer drafted a cease and desist letter and explained the options to Sarah, hoping to dissuade her from trying any legal avenues. He explained that any further attempt to reach Lily, directly or indirectly, would be considered harassment. Lily asked if she needed to do anything, but I told her the lawyer and I would handle it. She seemed relieved to know she would not have to see her mother in a courtroom. The pressure from others did not stop immediately, but it changed. I think the fact that I had a lawyer ready to sue had a chilling effect. It is one thing to be annoying when it is just family drama. When there is an attorney involved, people tend to mind their own business. A few people accused me of being a bad dad, but I told them exactly where they could go. The only good thing to come out of this is finding a community of other single fathers and mothers online. Apparently, I am not the only one who had to learn everything the hard way. Sarah has gone quiet for now, but I do not think it is permanent. I do not know if she will try something legal, which would be incredibly stupid. Update number 2. Lily was the one who decided how this would end. After Sarah went silent following my last legal threat, a few weeks passed without contact. Lily seemed okay, but I noticed she was a little restless. She asked a lot of questions about her mother. Specifically about what-if scenarios. What if her mother showed up at the house? What if she tried again when Lily turned 18? What if she stalked her at school? I knew she was afraid of what this woman might do, and I wanted to give her peace of mind, but I was not sure how. A restraining order was not possible yet because Sarah had not done anything other than write messages. One night after dinner, Lily told me she wanted to write to her mother herself. She did not want a relationship, but she wanted to tell Sarah directly that she wanted nothing to do with her. She wanted to make it clear that this was her decision. I did not think it was the best idea, especially since she wanted to text from her own phone number. Eventually, I convinced her to compromise. She would use my phone to send a voice message. That way, Sarah would hear her voice, but she would not have Lily's private number to harass her later. I do not care about Sarah's messages. I can handle it. Lily spent 2 nights writing and rewriting what she was going to say. She did not ask me to tell her what to say. She asked me to read it once she thought it was finished, just to make sure it conveyed what she intended. It was a little harsh, but fair. She was convinced that saying these words would help her heal. Even though we were doing well, this whole situation had ripped open old wounds. She was an infant when her mother left, so she did not remember the event. But 15 years without a mother leaves a mark. She recorded the message. It went something like this. She said she knew who her mother was, what she had done, and what she had missed. That was why she did not need Sarah in her life. She had built a life without her that was perfectly good, and she was not interested in filling a vacancy that did not exist. She said she did not hate her because she reserved hate for people she once loved, and she never knew her. She said trust was not something she felt obligated to offer just because time had passed. She finished by saying she wanted no further contact and asked that her decision be respected. She also said to stop bothering her father, because the decision came from her, and I was just the messenger. Before sending it, Lily listened to it a few times until she was satisfied. We hit send and waited for the worst, which was the inevitable narcissistic response. It arrived in less than an hour. If you were expecting a calm, reflective, respectful text message, you would be wrong. Sarah responded directly to Lily, ignoring the fact that it was my number and I would hear it first. It was a long audio message. Some parts were intelligible, some were not, and I'm pretty sure she was spitting all over her phone because she sounded like an angry Donald Duck. According to her, Lily was just repeating my words because a 15-year-old girl could not possibly understand something so complex. She claimed I had scripted it for her and was threatening her to record it. She said she was so sad for Lily, but deep down she knew Lily was being manipulated. She said Lily would regret this when she was older and realized she missed the chance to have a mother. There was more, but between the sputtering, the entitled screaming, and the lack of oxygen, she did not take a single breath. It was hard to understand. But I think I caught the part where I was a bad man, a bad father, and a bad husband, and that she was right to leave with another man. Lily listened to it once. When she handed the phone back to me, she was actually laughing. She said, "I think I broke her brain." I replied to Sarah that her audio message was exactly why neither of us wanted her in our lives, especially her daughter. I told her to stop stalking us because I was serious about involving the authorities if this was not the end of it. Then I blocked the number, although I kept all the messages and audio files just in case. I forwarded everything to my lawyer. Not to start a lawsuit yet, even the lawyer said it was not quite enough for a case, but because I wanted a paper trail in case things escalated. Luckily, we have not heard from Sarah since then. Because even if it has never happened to you, hearing a Donald Duck voice screaming at you and knowing it is your ex-wife is a trauma that requires serious therapy. At least it was over the phone. In person, I probably would have gotten a free shower from the spitting. Some of the people who had been pressuring us changed their tune very quickly after I let them listen to Sarah's message. Lily also wanted to post about it on her social media, and she did. She put a caption on her story that said, "When people ask me why I don't want contact with my birth mother, this is why." There is no risk of Sarah finding her through that post because Sarah already knows her name, but Lily has strict privacy settings, so only the people she allows can see it. The only sad thing, if this is indeed my last update, is not having an answer as to why people defend behavior like Sarah's. I would have liked to understand the motivation of these people, but maybe some things are better left unknown. I have reflected a lot on this, and my opinion is that they are people just as awful as my ex. They have done equally bad things, like abandoning their children, and they want the world to forgive them so they can feel better about themselves. They do not know how hard it is to be a single parent for 15 years. It makes me sad that such people exist. As for the child support question, someone asked about it. We agreed she would not pay monthly child support after the divorce. Instead, she signed over her entire share of the house equity to me. It was a significant amount of money at the time, probably around $40,000 in equity, and the property has appreciated over the years. Plus, receiving a check from her every month would have kept me in contact with her, which I wanted to avoid. I thought cutting ties completely was the right move. I do not know if I did right or wrong, but I think it turned out okay. Update number 3. Sarah ended up suing me. You read that right. Even my lawyer told her not to, and I'm sure the lawyers she consulted told her the same thing, but that is Sarah. She does things without thinking. Luckily, this time, the consequences only affected her. Most of us do not have the luxury of being irresponsible with our lives because it affects other people. In this case, she only hurt herself. I knew the result the day I was served the papers. My lawyer assured me there was no case. And he was right. The whole thing was dismissed quite quickly for several reasons. First, she had voluntarily agreed to give up custody 15 years ago, proving she did not want to be a mother. Second, the time elapsed was significant. Third, and most importantly, in our state, a 15-year-old's preference carries heavy weight. Lily testified that she did not want contact, and that was that. My lawyer asked me, figuratively, if I wanted to send the bill for his hourly rate to my ex. We did exactly that. We filed a motion for attorney's fees, arguing that her lawsuit was frivolous and constituted harassment given her zero chance of winning. It was a quick hearing. We secured a restraining order against her, plus a monetary judgment that covers my legal fees and leaves a little extra for us. I have a feeling she might try something else. Stupidity has not stopped her in the past, but I hope violating a restraining order is too big of a risk, even for her. Edit. We have not heard from Sarah in over 8 months. Maybe she will try again when Lily turns 18. If she does, Lily can renew the restraining order herself if she wants to. I do not know what her plan is, but I would bet money she has one. She is very angry even more than before because she tried to use the legal system to bully us, and it backfired.